going to cover every single neighborhood in Lake Oswego in this video, and there's almost 30 of them. You might have heard that homes in Lake Oswego are some of the most expensive in the Portland metropolitan area, but are there any inexpensive homes in Lake Oswego? And if so, where are they? In this video, you're going to find out. If you're looking online at something like Zillow or Realtor.com and looking at home values there, all you're going to see is a couple big numbers, especially if you're just looking at the city, or maybe you're breaking it down by the 2 zip codes. Well, I have recent sales data from every single neighborhood. I got a bunch of drone footage for you as well. So by the end of this video, you're going to have a much better feel as to what the neighborhoods look like and how much the home values are in each of those neighborhoods. Let's go. Lake Oswego is in Clackamas County. It's about a 7 or 8 minute drive just south of downtown Portland. You take Highway 43 to get there. Probably one of the less congested drives to get to Portland in the metropolitan area. We do have some bad traffic in Portland. Not like LA 405 bad, but congested enough to complain about. There's about 40,000 people that call Lake Oswego home. It surrounds a 405-acre lake, which you can see in the background here as I'm walking past it. Founded in the mid-1800s and incorporated in 1910. The motto here is "Live where you play." And I have heard some people that aren't familiar with the area that came to this area say that it does have a little bit more of a resort style feel to it. I think it's mostly the lake that gives that feel. Lake Oswego is considered one of the more desirable places to live in the Portland metropolitan area. A lot of people coming here are coming for the schools, and so I will point out the schools in the various different neighborhoods as we go through this video. Due to its close proximity to Portland, great downtown, and some of the best school systems in the entire state of Oregon, the real estate here consequently is very expensive. And what are some of the cons of Lake Oswego? Well, frankly, I don't really think there are any cons, so I'm not going to try and come up with any, with the exception, of course, of the real estate being expensive and maybe being prohibitive for some people, but maybe not everybody. I think most people that want to get into Lake Oswego can, and you're going to see that with some of the sales data. You might be surprised at some of the numbers for some of the neighborhoods in Lake Oswego. And the biggest thing to impact the home values here, of course, is going to be the lake. Is the home lakefront? Does it have a lake view? Does it have lake access? We also sell homes at the Oregon coast, and one of the most common things that people want is they want to have a view of the water, and consequently that really drives up the value of the real estate. And you'll see that reflected in some of the prices of these neighborhoods. All right, so let's dig into the numbers here. And like I mentioned, this is all recent sales data. Mostly the last 3 to 6 months. Some of these neighborhoods are going to be smaller, so if you only go back a month or two, you won't have any sales. So for some of the smaller neighborhoods, I went back 4, 5, 6 months, but for the most part, these are all the past few months to give you the most up-to-date numbers and the most accurate view of what it's going to cost to get into one of these neighborhoods. The first 3 neighborhoods are going to be southeast of the lake. Probably going to be one of the more inexpensive areas of Lake Oswego. First neighborhood being Skylands. There was only 2 sales. Again, this is one of the smaller areas. One of them being 1.465, the other being 1.8, with the average at 1.62, median at 1.62, and the average price per square foot, which I'll include for all the neighborhoods so you can kind of get a feel for what you're getting for your dollar, was $392. Next neighborhood, Glenmor. In this neighborhood, there was 3 condos and 3 single-family homes recently sold. Most of Lake Oswego is going to be single-family homes. There's a handful of condos. I'll point those out as well throughout this video. 3 condos ranged from $358,000, the most inexpensive, to $655,000. The single-family homes range from $850,000 to $1.8 million. So the average being $813,000, the median being $752,000, and the average price per square foot $376. And the next neighborhood, Hallinan, which is where Hallinan Elementary School is, there was about a dozen sales, split up evenly between condos and single-family homes. The condos ranged from $349,000 to $655,000. Single-family homes ranged from $850,000 to $1.7 million, giving us an average of $869,000, a median of $655,000, and an average price per square foot of $377. The next neighborhood is going to be the McVey Southshore neighborhood. I'm going to include a map in the description of this video as well. I'll include a PDF as well as a GIS map if you want to be able to look at this map yourself. As you can see from the map, we're going to start to get into some waterfront homes, which again are going to impact the home values. There's about half a dozen, and by the way, unless a condo is mentioned, just assume it's going to be single family homes. So about half a dozen homes sold in this area recently. Average was $829,000, median was $797,000 with an average price per square foot of $436. The high, by the way, for that area was $1.2 million. Next is the Palisades. That is where Lake Ridge High School is. Average there, $1.34 million, median $975,000, average price per square foot $416. The high was $4.7 million. The low was $768,000, and that was what's considered a fixer. And if you're not familiar with that term fixer, because we hear people use that term sometimes, for people that are real estate professionals, like a real estate broker or a lender, it's more of a technical term. A fixer is a type of property that won't typically get funded by lending, meaning that's got something major with it, like the roof or the foundation. When I hear people kind of casually using that term, they're usually using it more so in reference to like cosmetic stuff, just a house that needs some updates or just kind of needs some cosmetic fixing. And by the way, welcome back to the channel Living in Oregon, or if you're new to this channel Living in Oregon, you want to see more videos about what it's like to live here, including videos about real estate, specifically for people that are thinking about buying a home here. Make sure and hit the subscribe button. We release new videos every week. My name's Seth Marchant. I'm a licensed broker in the state of Oregon. I help people buy homes here. If you're somebody that's thinking about taking the next steps, I invite you to call me, email me, text me, or click the link below in the description of this video. Or if you're watching from TV, hit that QR code and that'll take you to our website where you can find all of our contact information. And the next neighborhood is Westridge. That's where Westridge Elementary is. Only a couple of recent sales, and I actually had to go back, like I mentioned, about 5 or 6 months to find these. So 2 sales, one was $749,000, the other one was $1.66 million. And then there's another small neighborhood right next to that, Child's. No sales in the last 6 months, but your numbers, if I go back a year or so ago, or if there had been recent comps in Child's, it's going to be very similar to Westridge. Now, Blue Heron and the next neighborhood's Bryant, you're going to get some lake access there. So home values are going to have a higher average for that reason. We had 4 sales in the Blue Heron neighborhood recently, with the most inexpensive one being $749,000. Wasn't listed as a fixer, but it looked to me like it was a tear down. A lot of these houses that get torn down, they're like mid-century, built in the 50s, 60s, 70s, usually like a one level type of thing, 1,500 square feet or so. Usually a property that's been really badly neglected over the years. Like I said, maybe foundation issues, roof issues, siding issues. And that property actually was on 2 parcels. So all the more reason a developer would probably buy that and tear it down and put up 2 properties on it. But the average sold was $1.6 million. The median was $1.2 million. The high was $3.6 million, right on the water. And the average price per square foot, $569. Next neighborhood over, that strip right next to Blue Heron is going to be Bryant. That's where Lake Ridge Middle School is. 2 condos sold there and about a dozen single family homes sold there recently. The average is $1.25 million. The median was $1 million, and average price per square foot $491. Next is Rosewood. That's where River Grove Elementary School is. About a dozen single family homes recently sold there. Average was $698, median was $670. There was a bunch of fixers there. About half of those were actually listed as fixers. That's why your average and your median is going to be so low there. The high was $1.45 million. The Lake Forest neighborhood, this is going to be an area that had higher turnover recently. You're going to see some of the neighborhoods that don't have, we'll get to that a little bit later in this video, don't have as high a turnover. There's going to be some areas where you're going to find more retirees that are maybe sitting for a longer period of time. Some neighborhoods where more families are moving into, and what that means is families will move here from Lake Oswego for the school districts. They'll go through the school district. Once the kids are out of the school district and parents become empty nesters, oftentimes they will move back to where they came from or just move to something smaller, downsize. So this is one of those areas where there's a little bit more turnover. There's 20 homes sold recently in Lake Forest. Handful of them were fixers, which were in the 400s, so driving down your average and your median just a little bit. But the average was 1.2 million, the median was 685,000, and again, that's why, because you had those fixers in there. Price per square foot, $502. There's about a half dozen of those that were kind of in the mid 1 millions, and then there was 4 that were in the 2 millions. And next is Lakeview Summit. Again, if you're looking at a map, I want to point out none of these were on Lakeview Boulevard. All of those homes are waterfront. All of those homes are going to be some of the most expensive real estate in Lake Oswego, really going to drive up the average of the median. So if we had a sale in there recently, it'd probably be higher than it is. But there were 4 sold in Lakeview Summit. The low being 1.2 million, the high being 2.1 million. That gives us an average and a median of 1.7 million, and the average price per square foot was $469. The Lake Grove neighborhood, which is where Lake Grove Elementary is, there was 1 condo that was sold there recently, and there was a couple fixers as well in the 500s, and about a dozen single family homes. The average and the median both 1.4 million, average price per square foot $517. The high was 3 million, but most of those were in the 1 to 2 million range. In the Waluga neighborhood, there was only 3 recently sold. 1 was a fixer. That one sold for $635, so that'll drive down the average and the median a little bit. But the high was $910, so the average was $732, the median was $652, and the average price per square foot was $400 even. In the Westlake neighborhood, there was about a dozen sales recently, all detached single family homes. Average was 1.3 million, the median was 1.2 million, and the average price per square foot was $384. You might have noticed homes there, so a little bit more on the expensive side, but the average price per square foot not quite as high. So dollar going a little bit farther in that particular area than some of the other neighborhoods I've just mentioned. In the Oak Creek neighborhood, which is where Oak Creek Elementary is, there's quite a few transactions recently, about 20 so transactions, including about half a dozen condos that range from $299 to $315,000. Average was $710,000, median was $725, and average price per square foot $345, with the high there being $1.1 million. So homes in that area not quite as expensive. And then another small area right next to it, Holly Orchard, 2 sales, 1 condo, $697,000, and a single family home just over $1 million. Gives us an average and a median of $856,000, and average price per square foot of $411. Now, Mountain Park, this is going to be the area where the most transactions have taken place recently. There was 54 sales, lots of condos, a lot of condos in the 200 to 400 range, some above, but that gives us an average of $628,000, a median of $617,000. And this is I think, going to be the lowest average price per square foot, which was $285. Again, it's mostly those condos that are bringing that down. The high was only $1.25 million. Next is Uplands. That's where Lake Oswego Junior High is. About a half dozen condos sold there recently, the low being $148,000, high being $485,000, about a dozen single family homes. One of them was a fixer, sold for $681,000, but the average was $1.17 million. The median, $815,000, and the average price per square foot, $476. Now, the high in that area was $3.39 million. The second was just over $3 million, a handful of 2s and quite a few 1s in there. Lots of new builds in the Uplands neighborhood. These are some of these homes where they take a fixture and demolish it and build from the ground up. And those new builds usually kind of start in the 2 millions. Many of those homes are built by the home builder Renaissance Homes. Next is Forest Highlands. This is where Lake Oswego High School is. There's 1 condo sold there. The rest were all single family homes, which there's about 20 or so. Average was $1.68 million. The median was $1.25 million. Average price per square foot was $501. And one thing to note about this area, if you're looking for a larger home with some acreage or at least a larger lot, this is an area where you're going to find more of those. A lot of the lots on those properties that were on the higher end were half an acre to about 3 acres. So when I say acreage, I really mean more like 1 or 2 acres, which is about the most that you're going to kind of find typically in the Portland suburbs. Now, the homes, of course, as you might imagine around the lake, those are going to be much smaller lots. Next is the NorthShore Country Club. one of the more coveted country clubs, as you might imagine, in the Portland metropolitan area. Just 2 sales. They were both on the golf course. There are waterfront homes there in that neighborhood as well. But the 2 sales, one was $3.5 million, the other was $5.1 million. One of those was a Renaissance home. Beyond that, we have the Evergreen neighborhood. This is right where the downtown is. So right about where I'm at. It's where Millennium Plaza is, which is where the farmers market is. You can see that that's what you see. That's what all those people are doing down there in that drone footage. Average price was $1.28 million. Median was $1.2 million, with an average price per square foot of $524. That was about a half a dozen recent sales. Your home values there are going to be more expensive because of your proximity to downtown. Lake Oswego has one of the better downtowns, maybe the best downtown for the suburbs and the Portland metropolitan area. And a lot of those homes are going to be walkable to shops and restaurants and Millennium Plaza. So highly desirable for people that want walkability and want to be close to the downtown, which is what drives up the real estate prices there. And then we also have First Edition, which is where Forest Hills Elementary is. 19 home sales there recently. About a half a dozen of those were actually condos. Cheapest condo was $785,000. So condos there are not going to be very inexpensive. And again, it's because of that proximity to the downtown. A lot of the single family homes, the sales there were in the 1s and 2 millions. The average was 1.44, median is 1.23, and the average price per square foot is $576, which is going to give us one of the highest price per square foot averages. Highest would be Lakewood. There was only 4 sales there recently, but they range from 1.5 million to 5.1 million. It gives us an average and a median of 2.9 million, and that price per square foot was $839. And then finally, we have a couple of smaller neighborhoods. Old Town, just 1 sale in there, single family home recently, 1.195 million. And then Foothills, just to the north of that, 1 condo for $415,000. Going to find a lot of condos in that area, and you might find more retirees in the area. So not as much inventory turning over in Old Town and Foothills. And then finally, we have the Birds Hill neighborhood, 4 sales. All single family homes. One was just over $1 million. The highest was $3.2 million. That one actually had river access to the Willamette River, with an average of $2.6 million and an average price per square foot at $521. All right, so I'm gonna finish off here in the beautiful Millennium Plaza. That's where a lot of stuff goes down. Great anchor for the city of Lake Oswego. Hope that video helped you. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, make sure and subscribe to our channel so you can see more videos like this. And if you're thinking about buying a home in this area, or really anywhere in the Portland metropolitan area, I invite you to call, text, email, or click the link in the description of this video to hop into our calendar if you want to schedule a Zoom call with us. And if you're watching from TV, hit that QR code. It'll take you straight to our website where you can find our contact information there. Until next time, take care, everyone.